To the American people, we say big help, quick help is on the way because we face about the most unprecedented health crisis we have.
After days and days of negotiations between the White House and Senate leaders, including Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, the two sides have basically come to an agreement on what is really a historical, massive package to address the economic fallout and the health fallout from the spread of this coronavirus. So it really is bigger than anything we've ever seen in history before, much larger than the TARP bailouts from 2008, much larger than the Obama economic stimulus of 2009. This is $2 trillion. And, some quick highlights. A lot of Americans, most Americans will be seeing a check coming in the mail, a tax rebate of about $1,200 per individual, more if you have children, if you make $75,000 or less. I think that's number one of the most important things, to get cash in the hands of Americans that are either have lost their work through the coronavirus fallout or have been furloughed. Obviously, this has impacted every single person in the country.
What we're looking at is a almost Great Depression-like event compressed into a few months. There's arguments that we could see millions unemployed at a scale and a rapid pace that we just haven't experienced in maybe even 50 or 100 years. So as such, it's really important to secure that workers are able to be made whole when they're laid off. That's why unemployment insurance needs to be bolstered. States and municipalities are going to come under extreme pressure, so that we need to make sure that they're backstopped. And everyday people are going to be much more insecure, so it's important to get them cash to ensure that they're able to keep themselves going.
This is a one-time check for $1,200 for individuals making $75,000 or less. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, she held a phone call with Democrats yesterday trying to sell the package to her caucus. A lot of progressives think this doesn't go far enough for workers, and that was always going to be the balance of does this take care of not only corporations and the employers of the country, but the employees who really are bearing the brunt of this as we head into this recession. And so she has said to them, and Steny Hoyer has said, look, this is not the last phase. This is not the last package that we're going to see from this coronavirus fallout. There likely will be phase 4 and phase 5. And so if we did not get all of our priorities in this particular package, there will be other opportunities to fight for those priorities.
So many people have been thrown out of work through no fault of their own. The restaurant closes, the small business closes. Now all of those people will be able to apply quickly and easily for unemployment insurance. Is a good bill. Does it have everything we need? No. Are some things in there that I would have rather not had? No, of course. But this is the art of compromise. This is the art of coming together. America needed huge help quickly, and I think we've risen to that occasion.
There's an immediate problem that's different than the medium and long-term problems. Economists are right now having a very strong debate about whether or not this will be a so-called V-shaped recovery, which is to say down very sharp, but then up and rebounds very quickly, or more of an L shape, which is to say it's going to go down, and then it might only slowly come up if it does come up. The Great Recession was famously a very L-shaped recovery. Even if, I think 13 years on from when it technically started in 2007, we were still arguing if unemployment could go lower. We really need to avoid that kind of situation. So, we'll see in 4 or 5 months, once we have our arms around the coronavirus, hopefully, as a result of good government action, we'll see if, everything just picks right back up or everything is slow and sluggish. And my guess is things will be slow and sluggish because the disparities in wealth and power in society that helped keep the Great Recession from recovering more fully and quickly will still be present, and we will still obviously need action on climate and many other things. This pandemic and this recession is going to blur the lines greatly. I think you have very conservative people like Larry Kudlow in the Trump administration calling for the government to take equity stakes in companies it bails out, which is kind of a form of socialism, maybe even explicitly a form of socialism, depending on how you want to define it. Meanwhile, you have very libertarian-minded people like, say, a Ben Shapiro saying, where are the free tests? Where is the government's role in ensuring health care and ensuring that people are safe and secure? There are no libertarians in this crisis. I think the government, no matter what happens, is going to play a much more important role in ensuring the basic security, economic and health of everyday people. And I think it's going to hopefully open up a space where it's like, okay, if the government can do that in a crisis, why can't it ensure people have health and security in everyday life? So that's one way we could end up with a much more progressive result. On the other hand, if things get quite bad, in general, high levels of unemployment are quite terrible for progressive policies. You can see it with the rise of the Tea Party. You can see it with the rise of the far right in Europe during periods of the Great Recession and austerity. Bad times lead to very zero-sum thinking, not we're all in it together, but instead, I got to get mine, you can't get yours. And so if we botch this recovery, I think it would empower reactionary forces in a very dangerous way.